Welcome back, folks. Well, it's been a long time since we've kind of shared progress here on the Emerald Isle. So I guess it's time for a little walk around and progress update.
Yeah, we've just been chipping away on things over here and doing some fishing trips on the little fishtail in between. We're pretty much finished with the halibut over there for now. We got a little bit to do this fall, but now the focus is to get all the gear over here and get fishing on this boat. Just kind of wrapping up a few things, some fabricating, some welding, a little bit of plumbing, some hydraulics. But we'll take you around and kind of show you what's going on. So we're actually just tanking down right now. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but we're nearly full. We've already tanked down a couple of times and everything's looked good, no leaks or anything, but we're actually gonna take the boat out for a little spin here today or tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll go over, we'll take the reel off the fishtail, and then we'll bring the Emerald Isle over to the plant and have them drop it down on deck. And so we thought we'd just tank down and see how the boat feels when we're moving and traveling around. So I'm gonna go turn this off real quick.
She fills up fast. So Dad just flipped the overboard open, and there you see it over there. That's our 3-inch outflow, same as the pump.
Did I get in time?
While we were in the yard.
Barely.
Yeah, just in time.
I was trying to keep this hatch dry still because we got a little welding to do on the underside of it. Not that it's that big of a deal, but yeah. So I just closed the pressure side going into the tank and then opened the overboard. So it's just diverting all the water from the pump overboard right now. If you're wondering, that's a 3-inch centrifugal pump, 7.5 horsepower, moves somewhere in the neighborhood of about 500 gallons a minute. And let's see, here's my timer. Took about 13 minutes to fill up.
So you can see where the boat sits, tank down here. So you can probably see under the water. You may not be able to see it like defined, but it's about 14 inches of squat. Maybe more like 13. I think we figured 13 actually. So she sits pretty nice, tank down. We're quite pleased with how she sits as far as trim. Goes straight down when we tank, which is really good. Kind of everything that we hope for when we split the fish hold up.
Yeah, super nice. We're very happy with how she does sit.
And we have probably about a foot of freeboard to the scuppers, which is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, she sits very trim. Let's see what else we got going. Matt got up in the rigging the other day. Got the last of the electronics put up there, GPS antenna, got everything all, oh yeah, got all the wires tightened down good and tidied up, removed the ladders that were up there for the last year, and put the radar up, so
yeah,
everything's good to go up there now.
So yeah, it sits really nicely back here too, which will be pretty good for hauling on fish. We won't always be this low because, well, just depending how much we tank down for slushing our hold. But should be really nice for hauling fish aboard.
It's actually pretty trim now.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. We're kind of getting the last of the junk off the boat and getting everything where it needs to be, so we're slowly kind of getting leveled out as we go here.
Yep. Oh yeah, You can see our handrails are coming along pretty nicely. We have a few legs to put back in still. This little gap to fill here. We got pipe 4. These little saddles worked out really good. Some extra work involved, but it looks really good, and we'll be able to take them off easily if we need to, which is good. Eventually we'll rig up for salmon, and that'll be an easy conversion then. Just pull off all the cap rails or the handrails and the hay rack there. Yeah, it all turned out really good. Over here, this is gonna be our davit here, which we're working on now. That'll be, well, I guess essentially what this one is, just for hauling the line through. Got our little block here. So over here on the hauling station, I guess we may have briefly covered it once upon a time when we did this cutout here, but the cutout is mostly fully completed, just a couple of welds left on the inside there, but it turned out really good.
We still have the piece that goes in here, so we'll get it trimmed up and kind of framed out, and so we can bolt it back in here when we're not halibut fishing, and then we don't have the scap. Probably make it fairly easy to remove, so we can pull it out when we're dockside. It makes getting on and off the vessel a lot easier. And eventually we'll put some decking down right here, but we're just gonna pretty much put it flush right on top of the current deck right here. We're not gonna raise it up. We want to keep the spot lower right here to just make it nicer to haul gear for halibut. Makes a big difference, be just a little bit lower. And I think that's gonna work out real good. If we don't like it, then we can always lift it up and bring it back up to the level of the rest, but it should be fine. Yeah, the rigging's all pretty well done. Still need to get some mounts made for our stabilizer poles, which are on the dock right here. Get some tabs put on the top of them, and then we can get those in place. And other than that, this is a hauling station like Matt said, so we'll be putting a cable up there. Cable doesn't stretch as much as just line. Now, line is really stretchy, so we don't want that stretch in there. So we'll put a piece of cable up there, and we might even just end up strong backing it with a piece of pipe too. And then there'll also be one that goes forward onto a pad that's bolted through the top of the house right there, and that'll prevent it from going fore and aft, and it'll just kind of lock it in place right there. We'll put another pad eye somewhere down here, so when we want to do crab, we can swing it back some for better positioning, and then lock that arm back in place again. But this is basically where it's going to be when we're hauling halibut gear. It's a nice height. It's basically the same height as it was on the fishtail right there, which has worked out real good. This one's inboard a little bit more, which is nice. We probably will adjust the one on the fishtail at some point, but it kind of means like rebuilding that whole kind of triangle bracket, and we just didn't want to deal with it right now. But this is a pretty good length inboard. That should work out real good. It's nice and easy to snap unsnap. Put hydraulic valves right here, and we'll be in business.
Yeah, that'll be pretty sweet, I think.
Yeah.
The good news is that we have kind of the experience from over here this year, so we pretty much know what we want.
Yeah. We hauled some gear the other day, and it was probably gusting 30, and it was perfectly fine off the side. It wasn't super rough out because we didn't have a very long fetch, only about 2 miles off the beach, but it was definitely windy and cappy, and it was quite comfortable hauling off the side. So it'll be even better on this vessel because it's so heavy. It doesn't get pushed by the wind as much as a fishtail does. And you can see how much she just moved right there in that little tiny gust. This thing's just plunked down.
Yeah, I also just want to say a quick thank you to all the great feedback as far as the camera angles and stuff go. we've really tried to do our best at getting new angles, more exciting angles, and yeah, I just want a quick thank you, since this should be a quick video to pop out.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to continue to make some improvements. We're going to make some hard mounts, probably like a swing out pole up forward, kind of like our stabilizer that's just on a bracket that we can just quickly attach the camera to and then drop it into position, and that'll take some of the wonkiness out of everything. But yeah, that's worked out good. We kind of do the same thing on here. We got a lot more room to set cameras up on here, so hopefully we can do the same thing, get some good shots for everybody. So everything else is looking pretty good. I'm gonna put a tiny rail right there up forward where we're hauling, just to give a guy something to grab onto if it's rough. Kind of nice to have a spot to hang your gaff there and things like that. It won't be as tall as this because you're standing down lower anyways, but just a nice grip right there. These all turned out real good. Still got a couple uprights here and there that I need to get in. Finish all this welding out. It's just breezy, and so I haven't been able to get to it, but it's all locked into place. It looks real good. Putting a couple of just pieces of pipe up higher. This is just old stuff that was on the boat when we got it. Just reusing it. This is to hold our hooks. We hang our hooks off of here, and then we can just strap the bottom so they're not slapping back and forth, annoying us.
Yeah, we've got our bait hooks, essentially our hanging bait hooks that we use to store them on.
Yeah.
So as we're, I guess you could say, we're pinning them onto here.
Easy to rinse off like this.
Yeah.
This can hold all our hooks. Same thing with our buoys. We'll just tie them to this rail. So that's all. Just getting these kind of finished up. I got to cut the other one for the other side yet. Matt did a really nice job getting these rails bent back here. They look great. Same thing, just need to get them all welded out, but they're all in place. Saddles are put in. Got a short piece of pipe I need to put in here and one more upright. That'll finish that off. Yeah, splendid.
Yeah.
Super happy.
So our false deck is pretty much complete. I got the last two side pieces in the other day, and then these last three pieces up here bolted in, and that last plank notched. That turned out really good.
Yeah.
A couple of questions about why you even need a raised deck, and that's to number one is like reduce the amount of like with the crown that you're walking on. It's pretty uncomfortable when you're standing on a slant.
This deck has a lot of crown, particularly right next to the rails, and so your feet are always kind of bent like this, your ankles. It's very hard on your legs and your feet to stand in that position for a long period of time, which you do as a fisherman. You're not very mobile. A lot of times you're just plunked in one spot. That's kind of where you work, especially like the guy on the rail. And so that's really nice to have a flush deck like this. The other reason is when you're cleaning fish and everything like that, all that slime and all that blood and gurry will go right through the deck and just get flushed out through the scuppers. It doesn't really get that dirty underneath there. You're traveling around in weather and waves are washing in back and forth. You also keep it hosed down real good. Yeah. And that rinses it all out. But you know, the top surface is clean. This is very common on boats. Crab boats have it, salmon boats have it, longliners have it. It's very, very common. Another really nice reason is that when we're tanked down and water is flowing out of the hold, when we're tanked down for crab, the water will just flow out of the hatch and overflow. All of that would be on the deck, and you'd be constantly walking in all that water splashing on you, you know, making it slippery. This just lets it run right through the deck and it disappears. Same thing with any waves, any water that comes over the rail. It hits the deck, it just pretty much just evaporates right through, and you're not standing in water that's built up along the side of the rails. So there's a lot of really nice advantages to having it. And gives just a nice slip-free finished look. This stuff is pretty grippy. it's a lot better than just bare fiberglass if you don't put any kind of no skid on it. So yeah, it turned out real good. Really happy with that.
All right, so a lot of questions about how the processing part is going.
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear from IMS. They had some problems with the compressor, and so they're a little behind schedule, and quite honestly we are too, so I think that'll work out okay, but we'll just have to kind of see how that goes and play that one by ear. In the meantime, we're continuing to get things set up for it. This will be our main processing area right here. We'll have cleaning tables along this wall right here where we can fillet and trim our fish. Right here where this freezer is located, this will be removed, and we'll have our vacuum pack machine here. And then this hatch will come off and we'll have a raised hatch with the evaporator right here and a tunnel going forward and down in the hold. So you can load fish basically right here. It'll be sealed from the deck like a box and go through and then down. So you put the fish in here, cold air passes over it, freezes it, goes down into the fish hold, circulates back around, comes back up through the evaporator and just continues that loop. So that's gonna work out really nice. It's gonna be a nice compact. Everything will be in this corner, more or less out of the weather. We will extend this wave wall roof over into here at some point, so it's kind of all enclosed, but this is just kind of the start right now. Same thing, we don't need that big of an overhang all the time, and so that'll just be a bolt-on when we're actually processing. The wave wall itself has come along good here. Finally got back to working on it the other day. It's got this short little piece that needs to go in right here, but we did get this front part worked out as far as these angles, and now we just need to weld them all out. And then this will be completely watertight and wind tight. It's actually pretty windy right now, and it's quite comfortable here.
Yeah, it is.
We'll get this bottom enclosed right here, and it'll be real nice. We used hole stiffener for framing on this. It's really nice. The nice thing about it is that you don't have, it's a very easy surface to clean, so you can pressure wash this all off, you can scrub it, whatever. Any water that gets inside of these will just drain down and out the bottom, as opposed to like using some angle where you have all the surface area that can, you know, hold grime, trap grime, corrosion, things like that. It's hard to clean. It's always dripping down on you. So this is a really nice setup. It's very nice and clean. Be really easy to scrub down. So I just got a couple of pieces left to get tacked in, and then kind of get it all welded out.
Yeah.
Super happy with it. These posts are just temporary until we get some gussets in these corners right here. And I think we will need a single post over here somewhere just to hold this corner up. The front one is supported by that angle up there, and that'll be nice and strong. So yeah, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I think so. We're liking how it's turning out anyways.
Yeah.
So we also got some no skid down up here on the bow, which is pretty nice. It was really slippery just because the amount of slope up here. So got some gray no skid there. Got our forestay swapped out. The old one was pretty rusty and crusty, and we just repurposed our dual side stay. Moved one up here, moved one to the back, and it turned out really good. Very nice. They're extremely heavy side stay cables, so it's a nice thing not to worry about that. Heavy duty kit there, that turnbuckle. So going inside here, not a whole lot different back here anyways, but up here I think we have shared some of this by now, but got our circuit breaker in, everything's wired, temporary labels on here until we order up the appropriate descriptor, I guess. Here you can see a printout of what will become our basically alarm panel, which will be pretty nice. We've just got it printed out on vinyl and got a piece of aluminum cut for it and stuff. Get some switches and lights ordered.
Actually, I'm going to use Lexan for that.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you were going to make it translucent, so.
Yeah, because then,
Right.
like, all the text will be backlit. So it'll basically be like the same as our gauge cluster here, just with a bunch of little lights on it.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of, I'm not sure if we shared it or not, but the gauges are complete, more or less. Got to hook up the start and stop.
This is a lot more convenient. You know, we can actually see everything now when we're sitting in the captain's seat, as opposed to having to crane your neck down here and look. And, you know, right here is first and foremost right in front of your face. You're looking at it all the time. Every time you're looking around and glancing at it down here, that just doesn't happen, and so that can lead to problems. So a lot more convenient. And then also, obviously, it cleared the way for more important things too, right there. Equally important.
Yeah. So we got all our other electronics and instruments hooked up here now. Got the wires run down to the panel, which is a good thing. We just have to get our PC from next door and find a place for it here. We're thinking it'll probably fit just right in here. And get us the screen mounted. It's just kind of sitting there now. Actually, we have a slightly bigger screen. It's kind of small for the program and modern apps. So aside from that, just a couple last things to do. We ended up removing that compass plinth, I guess. Used to sit right here. We're gonna add a piece of wood to the gauge box here and mount this up here where it's more visible to the captain seat. And I guess that's pretty much it right here. Not a whole lot of change.
All right, let's go take a look in the engine room. Give me a moment, folks. Matt's gonna go turn shore power back on. So to get a little DC light hooked up here, just an LED strip light. Got a couple more that are coming that we'll put down here. So whenever our power is off, our AC power, we'll be able to see what's going on down here. So if we lose power out on the water or something, we can turn the lights on. Up, are they going out? And so I just had the shore power off because we were running the generator while we tanked down. So yeah, a lot of changes down here from what we started with way back when in Juneau, for everybody that's followed us that long. Still got a little bit of tidying up down here, but for the most part things are looking pretty good. So I guess we'll just start by going over here. Water tank or water heaters right there. That's an old fuel tank. It's just full of water right now just to keep us trim. We're not gonna rebuild it at this moment, I don't think. We've got a lot of fuel capacity on here. We've got 150 gallons in that tank there, and then in the back there's 800 gallons combined, 400 on each side. So I think we're good on fuel at the moment. Our long-term plan is to actually eliminate both these tanks here and then come in here and tear out this lower bench, whatever it is. I think there's ballast in there probably. It's really weird.
It's almost like a chasm too. I'm not really sure. We haven't.
I think it's just full of steel scrap is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I don't think that there's concrete in there. Maybe there is, but we'll find out one day. But for now, that's our long-term plan, is actually just a fiberglass, you know, internal tanks right there. And it just gets your center of gravity lower, and then it also opens up the space for other equipment, which will be nice. So anyways, that's future us. Just hopping back here. I don't know if I can skinny up enough, but so we've got our fuel manifold in place. There used to be a fuel manifold right here, and it was probably the nastiest, hideous thing I've ever seen. It was leaking everywhere. It was gross, and I think half of the valves didn't even work.
Yeah,
And
it was
so,
actually awful.
It was
for
awful.
sure. It was terrible.
Yep. So, so this is basically for starboard side tanks. This is for port side tanks. It's pretty flexible. It's not 100% flexibility, but I'm happy with it without making it super complicated and a ton of valves. And so essentially these ports that are on the side right here are supplies from the tank. So this is coming from the starboard aft tank. Same with the one over here. That's the starboard aft tank. The top one is this port fuel tank. And, you know, I need to put valves on these two aft ones, but they are valved in the back. So they're just open right now. So this is supplying fuel over here. And then this valve right here is the supply for the main, and this is the supply for the genset, and this is just future us. And so it's a nice, really nice compact unit. You can turn these up, and if you see that little red line right there, that indicates the flow of the ball inside, and so that would be the off position. This is coming off the starboard side, and then that would be, well, have to turn it like that for the to pull off the port tank. So very nice and simple. Same thing with the generator. So this allows you to close these off, to change your ray core. So this is the ray core for the main right here, and then the ray core for the gensets on the other side, because it was just more convenient to locate it over there. I'm happy with how it came out. The returns are coming off this top ports right here. I still need to get a manifold for those, and so we're basically just pulling off one tank right now. I'll get the other one plumbed in before too long, with probably just a 3-way valve on it, so I can select whichever side I want to return fuel to. So it does give us some flexibility. If you need to pull off one tank, return to another one, you can, or just return to the tank that you're pulling off of. Generally speaking, that's the best thing to do, but sometimes you do need to adjust your trim a little bit, and that's a good way to do it, as long as you remember that's what you're doing and don't forget. And
Yeah, set a timer.
Yeah. Let's see, so of course our hydraulic steering tank, this is for the steering only on the vessel now. This used to be for everything, the deck gear plus the steering, so that's only the steering now. Turned out real good. That's just run off a pump off the back of the main. This is our hydraulic pump for our deck gear. That's plumbed into a tank over here now. Still got a couple of things to do, just finish up the return on it, but it's more or less ready to go. Of course, the old Detroit 671. Seems to be pretty happy, no complaints about it. And then, of course, our genset. This is a 30 kW Isuzu, 3-phase 208. So this will run our freezer, and it also runs our crab pump, which is located over here in this kind of maze of plumbing. So this was a huge project right here to get done, and it turned out really good. Generally speaking, this stuff tends to get like very spread out in engine rooms, and somehow we were able to just pack it into this corner right here which frees up tons of space everywhere else. And so with this, we can fill either hold and pump either hold, or we can just draw water through and discharge it overboard. We still need to tap into the overflow, which is right here, and run off a 2-inch line for a big heavy-duty deck hose. Just haven't got to that. We kind of need to work out how we're actually going to get it outside because it's a little bit tricky. We can't just go straight up through the wall because that's not the deck, that's actually inside the cabin right now. So the bulkhead is inside the cabin as opposed to most boats, it would be outside the cabin. So you could just come straight up out of your engine room and be on the deck somewhere. But that's not the case of this one because the fish hold comes forward so far. So we kind of have to go up through one of the sides over here and just got to get back in there and do it. It's some pretty tight quarters. And so anyways, this is the 3-inch sea chest we installed. This is a BV 3000, so 3000 stands for 3-inch. The BV designates a stainless steel ball and stem. There's a FBV, which is a brass ball that's chromed. And so there is a difference between those if you guys are ever shopping for one. This is a tri-flange. These are really, really nice valves, especially suited for this. The bottom thread where your through hole comes in is a straight thread, so it matches the through hole fitting, and then the top is a NTP, so National Pipe Thread. And so it's the proper valve to use for plumbing when you're going from outside to inside. It's connected with a piece of 3-inch bellows flex right here, just to give it a little wiggle. So this is where we draw water in to the boat. It goes into the bottom of the pump right there, and then it discharges through there. If you want to flood a hold, you open up this valve, and that would flood the forward hold right now, which is tanked down right now. Everything's full of water, so it doesn't matter. This is to the back hold. I'm not going to open that because then everything in here is going to flow back there. It's not a whole lot of water, but we want to keep that hold dry. So this would be to flood the back hold. And then if you want to pump them out, you come over to these other valves on the side here. This is for the forward hold. This one down here is for the aft. And you would open that, and then you'd be drawing water through this, back down into the bottom of the pump, and discharging overboard. So I was really, really happy how this thing turned out. I think we went through about 15 different iterations of it.
Yeah, it was quite a process, really.
Yeah, and it was kind of evolving, and finally it just all came together. The biggest thing was this suction. I guess the sea chest, the suction from outside, was kind of the biggest hang up on it at first. Until we got that located, everything else was just kind of, it worked, but we weren't quite sure. This was the tricky part right here.
It was quite a puzzle, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing that we were able to fit it into such a small space.
Yeah, and everything works great. All these valves are unimpeded by everything. Nothing is in the way, so you can open and close them easily. It's a very straightforward setup. They're all really serviceable. So these, you just take out 4 bolts basically, and this whole cartridge slides out. So if you ever need to replace a valve or anything, it's very simple to do.
Mm-hmm. And these are butterfly valves?
These are butterfly valves, yep. Mm-hmm. Stainless flap, stainless shaft, so they should hold up good to the environment. The pump is a 3-inch centrifugal pump, 7.5 horsepower motor. It's a 208 three-phase, and so it works really nice. Pumps a lot of water, about 500 gallons a minute, maybe a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to tell because of the head that it's pumping. I mean, basically it's 0 head on here. And so according to the flow chart, it should be somewhere around 500, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, it's actually moving a lot of water.
It's below water, below the water line when we're dry. So that's a good thing, huh?
Right.
Makes it easy to, well, makes it super easy to prime. Like,
Yeah,
it
there's no
doesn't-
issues with priming it at all. Yeah.
Which is nice.
So it works really good. Let's see what else we got going on. This is the tank that we rebuilt, and so we actually ended up cutting that in half. Well, not quite in half, like a third. So we cut it right here, and that allowed us to take this section and pull it out behind the main to the other side of the boat. And then we could slide this back and turn it and roll it and do everything that we needed to do to put a new bottom on and a new back. And then also some new fittings on top for our fill and our vents and our return lines. And so that worked out really good. So this ended up being 150 gallons. We calibrated the tank when we filled it the first time. So as we filled it at the fuel dock, we marked it 25, 50, 75. And so the top one is 150. And that worked out really good. And then we turned the other part into a hydraulic tank. Same thing, we put a new front on it, and then the back is where the hole actually was, and that got it of a new piece, and then a new bottom. Put in a bigger fitting, you know, kind of like for a bigger pump down the line, so we can change the stuff if we need to. And then we just had to hard plumb this around the back of the pump here. There's just no room to get like a king nipple on there with hose or anything, and so that all worked out real good. This tank, I think we have 45 gallons in it right now.
Yep.
Of oil, and there's still room for more, and so we should be able to put probably about 55 gallons of hydraulic oil in it.
So yeah,
And,
the hard line comes over here into this bellows flex and into the intake here. Comes pressurized when this clutch is engaged here. And then comes up over to this selector valve. And that'll be in for deck, I guess, and out for anchor winch. And we have yet to plumb in the return line. That's next. So turned out pretty good.
Yeah, just waiting on a couple parts for that, and we'll get that finished up, and that should all be operational.
Yeah.
And so, other than that, not a whole lot else to show in here, I guess. Just everything is generally cleaned up as far as like all the excessive wiring and everything. We've gone in here and tidied up this breaker panel. It was just a mess of extra wire. It's still got a little bit to do here. It was just kind of like stuffed full of...
You couldn't make heads or tails of any of the wires.
Yeah.
It was pretty ridiculous.
It was. It was bad. And so, yeah, generally speaking, we've got things in pretty good shape over here. Yeah.
So
I guess that's kind of about it.
Yeah, the other day, Tristan made a short of me jackhammering out a little bit of concrete here. And just the reason for that was to give that bilge pump there just a better pit to sit in. The water collects better in it and doesn't run all over the whole bilge.
Yeah, we'll get a bracket in here for this and come off this with a 90 and then into a check valve and then back into this hose.
Yep.
This bilge stays dry. The nice thing about the shaft alley is it's very deep, it's very wide. It holds a lot of water back there. And with the new stuffing box and everything that's designed, it's not a dripless, but it drips very little with the type of packing that's used on it. Once it's broke in, there shouldn't be very much water in the shaft alley to begin with, but then you just pump it out from there. And so this bilge essentially stays dry, which is really nice, and you don't have to deal with, you know, any oil drips or anything. And, you know, honestly, for an old Detroit, this thing is pretty darn clean and not very drippy. We still have a little bit of work to do on it. as far as tidying things up. But all in all, we're really happy with that, and should be a good power plant for the immediate future.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up the update tour.
Yeah. For those of you that have been following along from the beginning when we first purchased this vessel, you know what things looked like back then and where we've come from. We're pretty happy with our with the results. Progress has been slow, but a lot of times that's how life is. And we haven't been in a huge hurry to get this thing done because we still had our little boat to provide an income with. But things are finally getting wrapped up on here, and we'll be fishing within the next couple of weeks. So we're super happy about that.
Yeah, we're really excited. I know a lot of you guys are excited for that too.
Yeah. So for everybody that's, you know, hung in there, followed along with us from the beginning, we thank you. For people that are just new to the channel and stumbled upon us and you want to see it from the beginning, you can just go back. There's a playlist for this boat rebuild, Emerald Isle rebuild, I guess, and you can kind of catch it from the start there.
And more of that, more of our processing work will come later after we've finished this halibut on here. So
yeah,
that's a little bit paused right now, but we will get to it. And of course, we'll have probably some backlog footage of little projects on here that we finished and just didn't have time to publish up to now.
Yeah, I think we've got a multitude of footage on just lots of different things. So
our playlists are more or less in order. So if you really want to get that, like the continuity of everything, you can just watch our playlist because those are all pretty much in order. Big shout out to our patrons too, who have supported us through this project as well. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, we sure do.
So yeah, I guess that about wraps it up here. Just want to do a big thank you shout out to all of our viewers, everyone who's left a comment or a like or subscribed, followed us on our journey here.
Yeah, we're slowly pushing towards 100,000. We're hoping to get there by the end of the year, but with your help, we might actually make it. So keep those comments coming. If you can take a minute to hit that like button, doesn't cost you anything. We love to hear your comments, suggestions, ideas. You know, we do read all the comments, and we do our best to answer them. Sometimes it takes a while for those of you that follow us know, but we do eventually get to those things, and we certainly take everything into consideration. We do appreciate that, and also a huge thank you and shout out to our Patreons for contributing to our project and supporting us. It's very helpful, and we really appreciate your support there too.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and so we'll just keep plugging away on this old girl, and before you know it, we'll be slinging some hooks over the side and hopefully pulling some fat slabs back.
Pulling some halibut. Yep,
that's right.
First fish to hit the deck.
Yeah,
that'll be an exciting day.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you all, and I guess we'll see you soon.
See you soon.